Profesor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, pengucaptama kita yang akan membentangkan kertas kerja beliau bertajuk Envisioning the Future of Learning. Dengan segala hormatnya dipersilakan.
Terima kasih rakan saya Prof Nur Azhar, yang dihormati Prof Muhammad Amin MB, Prof Datuk Riza Atik yang juga rakan saya bersama-sama dalam magnetik dulu dan sekarang timbalan Naib Chancellor Akademik, dan rakan-rakan UKM semua. Okey, terlebih dahulu saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada penganjur yang sudi untuk kali yang keberapa saya tak ingat datang ke UKM ini, tapi kali ini untuk memberikan ucap utama. Itu satu penghormatan kepada diri saya dan saya merasa amat rendah diri berdiri di hadapan profesor-profesor yang memang hebat dalam dunia pendidikan, sedangkan saya just a humble food technologist. Anyway, saya telah diberikan peluang ini, ruang dan peluang untuk berkongsi dengan rakan-rakan semua, untuk memberi ucap pertama ini, dan saya diberi juga ruang untuk memberi tajuk, walaupun Prof Amin ada beri beberapa tajuk. So I decided to talk about envisioning the future of learning. Actually should be envisioning the future of university learning, yang seperti mana yang diminta oleh Prof Amin. Saya terlupa dah masukkan perkataan university itu. So dan gambar yang tertera, the slide that you see now displayed on the screen is actually, if you see, maybe you cannot see very clearly the credit down there. This actually this picture, nice picture, is licensed using Creative Commons license, which is an open license that now available to a lot of pictures, videos, and so on, which we can use freely in our learning or teaching material. For example, in this presentation. So very nice picture, but the reason why I choose this picture, you see the picture of the girl looking up. Yeah, so it's like looking to the future. What would the future bring as far as learning is concerned? So today, I hope probably I won't be able to finish my slide. I usually have more slides than I can, present. So probably I will just run through very fast. So please brace yourself with me to come along with me through this journey to envision the future of learning. And I'm very excited and very delighted because, to be frank, I spent hours to prepare this presentation and not yet finished. And that's me, because I'm probably perfectionist in a way lah. Yeah, not yet finished. I spent many hours, and I have rearranged the slide. Because it's Dr. Hana asked me this morning, what is the most important thing when you prepare a presentation? What is it? I said, the storyline. What is the storyline? So, if I don't get the storyline, then I'll be, in trouble. So, hopefully I have the storyline. So, let's start with this introductory, I would say, video. Future of learning. And that video itself, apart from the title Future of Learning, is actually embodies the future of learning, how we can use material available in the internet, something like this, which is licensed using Creative Commons. This video is about 10 minutes or 12 minutes long. I just take a small segment of it, less than 30 seconds, as my introductory video. I don't have to reinvent the thing. And the owner of this video, the producer of this video, has given the license to everyone to use this in their presentation, in the material, and so on. So, number one, the future of learning is about our ability now to develop the skill, to use whatever material and resources out there, the open educational resources, and so on, to our advantage. Leverage it. Okay. And it's not only the part of educators. How do we now teach this skill to our students? The content is there. This morning we discussed about the content. So the content is there. Internet, I always view internet as a huge repository of information and knowledge. But if we don't teach our students the skill, our students to acquire the skill to search, to find, to filter, to evaluate, to choose the right information, to make sense of the information, create meaning, and make it meaningful, then our students will not be able to acquire that skill that is needed out there when they go out from the university. So I would like to start with this quotation, very powerful quotation. Maybe you have seen this from the late Nelson Mandela. He said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. But maybe we want to ask what kind of education that we can deliver, what kind of education that we want to create for our country. I think this is something that people or the government, Ministry of Education around the world is actually very concerned about. We want to raise world-class students. We want to create a world-class education so that we can produce the first or world-class student or world-class graduate. But the question is, how do we define world-class? And some people say, whose world? Yeah, Dr. Asma recently said, whose world? So when you say world-class education, whose world? By what definition, by what standard? So this is something that maybe we can ponder upon. But when we talk about the future of learning, so maybe we need to look at what are the driving force that pushing for these changes in higher education, especially because we are in the context of higher education. So of course, the first one is globalization. Yeah, the globalization, the technology. So a lot of discussion today is actually talk about technology. Massification of education. This is what now we call a massive open online course to scale up education so that the knowledge is not only confined within the physical boundary of the classroom, but now we can go out beyond the classroom to reach out the global learners. So this is what massification of education is about. And of course the market demand. At the end of the day, always the politician, the ministers, those people who always waiting for, to criticize and so on, they will ask this question. What is the value of the graduate that we produce from the university if they cannot find a job? So we talk about the employability rate and so on. We have the tracer study to see how many of our graduates get a job within 6 months and so on. So we cannot just push aside or just ignore the issue on the market demand. And of course, in the context of knowledge economy and knowledge society. And this is the reality that we cannot simply deny. Because technology and the internet is becoming, very global. The whole world is wired. Everyone is well connected, mostly, and of course in certain part of the world, maybe not so. But the technology is there. I have a slide actually, but I didn't include it here to show the statistic in terms of the internet penetration all over the world, the ownership of the mobile devices and so on. But the bottom line is technology is actually expanding. So how do we leverage this in terms of transforming our teaching and empowering learning? That's the theme of this today's event. Then Stephen Happel in 2011, that was a few years ago, he said, more change will happen in education in the next 10 years than in the past 100 years. Things are changing exponentially, not linearly. So if you are moving still on the same tangent, linearly, but things are changing exponentially, then you will see, sooner or later, or very soon, you will be left behind. I still remember very clearly this John Landau, his words 2-3 years ago in Las Vegas. He said, educators in the 21st century are at risk of becoming irrelevant. I was, wow, why? Because now the whole world is a global classroom. We don't have to step into the classroom physically because we can just tap the knowledge. Knowledge is at the fingertips, just a touch away or just a click away. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we talk about envisioning the future of learning because the world is changing. The only constant is change. And the world is changing faster than ever, and our skill sets have a shorter life. What is relevant today may be not relevant tomorrow, or maybe not relevant next year. So Sir Ken Robinson, I think most of us here should know Sir Ken Robinson. He said, for the first time we are preparing students for a future we cannot clearly describe. How do we prepare students, or how do we devise our education system? How do we devise our curriculum for something that we cannot really see? Or maybe we can see, but vaguely, not very clear. So this is a challenge for us. And I think we are still grappling with that. If you have read this book by Professor Clay Christensen, Harvard University professor, he's actually an expert on disruptive innovation. And he wrote a book also on disruptive classroom and so on. He said, we invest and we subsidize students' education in a field which there are no jobs. Because the jobs have not yet been created. We do not know. So we cannot design our curriculum to prepare our graduate for a specific skill or for a specific job, because we do not know what kind of jobs will be in demand tomorrow in the future. So this is a very nice infographic. You just Google future work skill 2020, you get this very nice infographic. This is another thing in learning, infographic. I really like it because I'm a very visual learner. And you can produce something like this. You don't have to be a graphic artist or know how to use Illustrator or the software, because now we can use a web-based application to produce infographic. That will be a subject of another workshop. So, but basically, this is very small, you cannot read, so I just extract the information. So the future job and skill requirement. Okay? There's no specific name of the job, but the specific skill that we need to develop, we need to inculcate in our graduate. Therefore, our curriculum should be designed to develop and inculcate. What is it? Solving problems, complex problems. Need to continuously update knowledge and technical skill. This in terms of the professional development. Multi, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary. Increasing relevance of social or soft and intercultural skill. Self-management, regulation, time management, responsibility, accountability. So these are some of the range of, or the type of job and skill requirement in the future. So maybe we need now to, just ponder for a while, whether we are preparing our students to fit this kind of criteria or skills. This slide I borrow from Judd Leonard. You can see down there. So it's not mine. He said transformation. We need transformation. So the theme of this event today. Transform, not change, not incremental change. Incremental change is probably linear, but we need exponential change. So being able to transform as needed. We should be very flexible. We should be able to challenge ourselves to step out from our comfort zone. Majority of our, university population maybe, I'm talking about USM, not UKM, are in the comfort zone. And it's quite difficult and it's very challenging to take them out from the comfort zone. Why should they? Paradigm shift on an unprecedented scale. Exponential again. Cannot be incremental. So this is my proposal, my suggestion. We need to look at learning that is transformative in nature. Then only we have this exponential change. And there are many meanings to this transformative learning. We use this term in our USM academic transformation plan. Transformative learning, whatever it means. It looks, sounds very bombastic, transformative. Everyone wants to transform, but nobody wants to change. That's the problem. So We are actually, it's very exciting. Actually now we are, part of the learning revolution happening around us with new learning paradigms and technologies emerging on a daily basis. I don't think we can cope with the development of technology. It's very, very fast. Just a blink of eyes, new technology come out, new devices and so on, so on, and so on. So if you want to buy a computer, just buy. There's no right time, there's no time that is right time to buy a computer. Just buy, because technology will change. So now back to, to me, we can talk about technology. One whole day I can talk about technology because I'm a strong proponent of technology. So there's no doubt about it. But then I think we have to go back to the basic. That's the pedagogy part. That's our friend Prof. Roshan will be happy to hear this from me. But all along, I know we have to integrate pedagogy and technology. So back to the basic. We have to be able to understand this learning theory, how adults learning, and I'm still learning. Remember, I'm a food technologist. I'm still learning all these basic things. I mentioned to our colleague just now, Dr. Rose, because she's expert on instructional design. Then I said, okay, I want to learn on ID so that I can now do my teaching and so on based on the sound pedagogical principle. Then I can inject the technology inside. So that's the idea. So now, we have the challenges now. From remember, understand, apply to the create. From the lower level thinking and higher level thinking. And it is very relevant. Very relevant because now the ministry in the Malaysia Education Blueprint, higher education as well as the school one, talk about KBAT. Kemahiran berfikir aras tinggi, which is a high order thinking. And kind of funny thing is, the teacher who has a degree in education asked me, Prof, how do we do this high order thinking in the classroom? Then I said, oh, it should be me who asks you the question rather than the other way around. But that's fine, So now, so envisioning the future of learning, if I cannot finish all the slides today, this is the one that probably the take-home message. To me, Dato', we need a new framework, a new paradigm, a new mindset. Again, this sound, maybe you will say that is rhetoric, this bombastic, but that is what we need to do. We need to unpack the curriculum. When we talk about curriculum, then probably it will remind you about MQA. No. MQA is MQA, but unpack the curriculum now is, we want to look at the curriculum and we want to see what kind of skills, what kind of values, what kind of knowledge that we want to impart, and we want to see now whether it is embedded in the curriculum and whether we can do the delivery to achieve all those that we have, that we want to achieve. Explore the transformative pedagogy, explore innovative delivery methods. So you will see in my presentation, I would not say much about technology actually today, but the technology is actually implied or embedded there. When we talk about innovative delivery methods, that is where the technology now can add value. Then we can use diverse methods to assist in our delivery. So again, I mentioned this morning in the conclusion, we have to start somewhere. We cannot address, okay, now we talk about technology, but we forget about what the technology is for. Actually, we have to get the teachers now to understand why they need to use the technology. So we have to look at the teachers. We have to look at the whole academic system. We have to look at the lecturers, transform the lecturers. We have to look at the students, get them, train them. We want them to be a self-directed learners. We have to look at the pedagogy aspect or andragogy. We have to look at the curriculum. We have to look at the modes and medium of delivery, and all these other things probably is to me a bit of out of beyond our control. But what is within our control are those in the red or in the red color there or brown color. Okay. So let's start with the outcome in mind. So this is outcome-based education. We talk about learning outcome, everything. If we are clear what is the outcome that we want to produce or we want to achieve. Then the rest come, accordingly. So the outcome is we look at the graduates, our product. What we want, or the role of higher education, is to nurture the future nation builders. Look at each one of our students as the talent that we want to nurture, and they will serve the nation as nation builders. These are the bricks that build the house, basically. So to me, if you ask me, what do you understand or how would you define world-class education? To me, is simple. There are three elements or three domains. One is, well, it's more than just teaching. Otherwise, the life of a teacher is easy. But it's more than that. Okay? We have to impart knowledge. Yes, knowledge. We need to impart knowledge somehow through our teaching, through the various approach that we use. Because knowledge in the discipline would define their core competencies. Meaning that engineers, when they go out, they are competent as engineers. Doctors, when they go out, they are competent as doctors, pharmacists, and so on. So that part must happen. We must ensure they get the core knowledge. Then, of course, these are the issues that we have been discussing all this while. Skills. How do we now imparting or inculcating the skills? And of course, do not forget or neglect values, ethics and values. If we have these three elements in our education, and we embed in the curriculum, and we design the delivery, technology or no technology, then I think we can achieve. We can transform our education system. We can produce the graduates based on the attributes that we want to achieve. And this is actually in shift, we call it shift number 1 in our Malaysia Education Blueprint Higher Education version, which will be launched next month. Next month. Which is holistic, entrepreneurial, and balanced graduates. Everything is actually captured in that. But the essence is actually we want to produce a graduate that is not only competence in their subject matter, competence as engineers and so on, but they have a wide range of skill. Thinking skill, communication skill, what else? Communication skills, all those 21st century skills. So what is the branding, like the VC mentioned this morning? When you see UKM graduates, can see from afar, that is UKM graduates. He talk like UKM graduates. He speak like, he think like, that is the branding, the jenama that we want to have. But how do we create that? It's about shape, some people, we say sometimes education is about shaping of mind. It's about shaping of the individual to become what we want them to become. So, let me just focus or dwell a bit on the skill. I don't want to show a slide on 21st century skill. Prof. Amin also always show that slide, so I want to be slightly different. But I take from this book, from Tony Wagner, one of the futurists, just like Leonard just now. I like to follow these futurists. I follow them on Twitter because they see the future, so I also want to see the future together with them. So in his book, The Global Achievement Gap, he listed 7 critical skills for the 21st century, which is basically the same thing. Critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, agility and adaptability, which I think our graduates are lacking in some ways. Initiative and entrepreneurship, that's an entrepreneurial mind and so on in our shift number 1. Effective oral and communication skill. Wow, this is actually one of the very critical one. In fact, number 1, based on the research and survey done by Prof. Rosna, still the employers in Malaysia and so on look for communication skill, oral communication skill, written communication skill, accessing and analyzing information. To me, this is also very, very critical, and curiosity and imagination. This is where, the new technology will be invented and so on.
We find when we talk about 21st century skills, people often reduce them to skills for the workplace and skills involving technology. And we really are thinking about skills for creativity, for civic engagement, for social life, the full range of experiences that young people will be involved in the future.
In a world where you sit down to do an exam and you ask yourself the question, I hope there are no surprises on the exam paper. And your teachers think, I hope I've prepared him for everything. How would that prepare you then to go out into a world that every day is going to surprise you? You know, it's full of the surprises of the economy, of society, of politics, of invention and technology. Every day is a surprise. Learning prepares you to cope with the surprises. Education prepares you to cope with certainty. There is no certainty.
So that is Stephen Heppel. I think he summarized very well the underlying reason why we need to focus now on inculcating these skills in our graduates. We are preparing them for uncertain future. We are preparing for them for jobs that does not exist yet. We are preparing them for what did you say just now? But basically, it was something that is not easily predictable. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting when I found this picture. This actually the artists probably in the 17th century imagine what learning would be like in 2000. Now we are in 2014. So they imagine that the students still sitting in a row of desks like this, and connected by something here, and this is the source of knowledge here. You see the books. The books is basically the knowledge. Then it's transferred through the wire here to the students. In 17th century, look forward. So this is a futurist of 17th century. Still, actually, they are in their mind pouring and transmitting facts and knowledge into the brain. But we know, probably he was right, because we are still, by and large, doing that. Of course, not in this way. Yeah. So it's interesting. So the question that I would like to ask all of you here is learning simply about gaining content, or content equal to knowledge? So I don't know how to pronounce his name. He said, the mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. This is quite famous expression. Maybe you have seen this also. And of course, Einstein said...
Knowing.
Okay. Well, Einstein said, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And this Sugana Mitra is coming in May for the Dectar as a keynote speaker. And he said...
Knowing something is probably an obsolete idea. You don't actually need to know anything. You can find out at the point when you need to know it.
Yeah.
It's the teacher's job to point young minds towards the right kind of question. The teacher doesn't need to give any answers. His answers are everywhere. And we know now from years of measurements that learners who find the answers for themselves retain it better than if they're told the answer.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we discuss and we elaborate this and deliberate this morning that it's not about content. Education is not about content anymore. It's what the students take with them. When they forget the content, they will forget the content 1 or 2 weeks or 1 month after the exam. But what really stick here? What make learning sticks? I was reading this on the plane on my iPad. What make learning sticks? Oh, okay. So what make learning sticks? That is something that we need to learn to do, because Seth Godin, a designer, he said, if there's information that can be recorded, widespread digital access now means that just about anyone can look it up. Wikipedia, Mr. Google, Mr. Bing, and so on. We just look it up. We can get all the facts. So because information just a click or a touch away. So ladies and gentlemen, education today in the globalized and connected world is about adapting to changing world. How and what we teach has to change as well. So there is transforming, teaching, empowering, learning again. So again, I'm only halfway of my presentation and I have about 20 minutes now. What the future of learning looks like? In order to visualize what future learning looks like, I think that keyword is learning. We have to understand more about learning. Since I'm not the expert, I have to look up on the internet again. And I met this lady, the name is Konoli, in Singapore a few years ago. So I found her work. It's actually the the authority on learning. So take it from her, not from me. She said characteristic of good learning. So this is for all of us. Encourages reflection. We know this. Yeah? Enables dialogue. Applies theory learned to practice. Create community of peers, peer teaching. Fosters collaboration. Again, collaboration enables creativity. Motivate learners. So in the next, about 20 minutes, let me elaborate some of this. And my favorite, I will start with my favorite, which is at the bottom one, the question this morning from one of the participants, how do we motivate learners? I didn't answer that very well because I'm also struggling with this issue of motivating the learners. But basically, motivate learners. Motivation is a prerequisite for engagement. These are my own words. Yeah? Motivation is a prerequisite for engagement. Engagement is a prerequisite for learning. Whether it's true or not, whether you agree or not, then of course we can argue, we can discuss about it. And from education, I'm sure there are many people from education here. If you want to challenge this, of course. But I think this is a principle of adult learning, right? Adult will learn if they are motivated to learn. So to me, that is the key. We can talk about the transformative pedagogy, the state-of-the-art technology. We can talk about all our enthusiasm as a teacher, but if we fail to motivate the students, then we fail. To be honest, I failed this semester. Well, the last semester that I just finished with this group of students, second-year students. I failed. I tried, but I failed. Yeah. So that's a story of my failure also. And Seth Godin again, I like to follow him on Twitter and also on SlideShare. I like his work. He said, grades are an illusion. Passion and insight are reality. So now if we can find the passion in the students, get them to, appreciate the subject, get them to love the subject, that is our success, I think, as a teacher. So this video is about motivation. Yeah.
I looked at the current educational system. I said, what's wrong with it? And the biggest problem that I found was it didn't know how to motivate kids.
Every person alive, it's in our DNA to be motivated. I think the current model, and I'm not picking on any players, the current model is just really good at squashing that motivation.
How can you make that 9-year-old sit in a class and say, do me 17 times tables?
What for?
What for?
I can't remember already the dialogue. What for? Just get our students to be like a parrot. We teach them the facts, then give them a question. Define rheology. I tell my students, you won't find from past year question, one question from me, define this, define that. Yeah? What for? They will answer, I've seen this, probably you have seen this, like straightforward question. It's kind of like they memorize words after words, lines after line. Whew, amazing, photographic memory. what kind of, probably that kind of skill probably useful also. Yeah, we don't say that it's not useful. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about motivation to start with. The key, yeah, is motivation. And my favorite quote, already memorized here, Eric Jensen, the famous educational psychologist, he said, there is no such thing as unmotivated students, but there are students in unmotivated state. Hafal dah. Yeah? So the difference between those students who are actually unmotivated and the one that motivated is one group is like this, waiting to be fed. The other group is always very enthusiastic, always willing to learn. These highly motivated students are those just like us here. Reflect our time when we were in school. I'm sure all of us are very highly motivated, right? We are not necessarily very excellent, but we are highly motivated. Highly motivated students, you will find, whether we are we are bad, we are outstanding, excellent teacher, they will still learn. The problem is the majority, in any class, you will find that some of them young, not motivated. That is our challenge. That is where all the pedagogy thing, technology, everything that we need to use at our disposal to get them into motivated state. Okay? So, the challenge is how do I make, if I teach a subject like this, mathematics, ada mathematics lecturer here, to make this engaging, fun, and yet the bottom line, learning happens. No, fun aja pun, tapi tak, lepas tu, orang ketawa-ketawa dan nothing. We don't learn anything useful. So, of course, I'm sure there's no exception. Every teachers, if you want to call yourself teachers or educators, you want to give the students to achieve higher level of learning, but they continue to use a form of teaching that is not effective at promoting such teaching. So ini yang Prof Amin tunjuk tadi. If we teach students, today's students, as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. John Dewey. Yeah? And I love, this guy is my idola. His name is Professor Walter Lewin, Professor of Physics. He's actually a typical lecture kind of, dia bagi lecture aja, but he's very enthusiastic. That's why you can be just give lecture, but if you are very enthusiastic, you can also get the students very motivated to learn about physics. And he himself loved the subject very much. And it shows the way how he prepared for the lecture and how he give the lecture. So he wrote a book even for the love of physics. For the love of physics. So my dream, one day, one fine day, maybe when I retire, I will write a book for the love of food science. So you are my witness. Wait for the book to be published in year XXXX. Okay, so that's about motivation. What about the other one in Connolly's characteristic of good learning? Enables creativity. I think it's very well known. We talk about it every day. It's about thinking thing. Some people say, according to this guy, some people study all their life and at their death, they have learned everything. Except to, guess? Think. So, this might not original from me, it's from Tan Sri Wan Zahid. We invited him to USM and you can watch, I don't know, dia kata jangan letak kat YouTube. Sebab dia ada isu-isu yang sensitif. So, but he said this, he challenged us, the USM staff, teach nothing but thinking. So during the Q&A, I challenged him back, but basically what he said is thinking, that is everything that, in the good curriculum, if you teach the students how to think, nurture them, guide them, train them, coach them so that they can think, so they can go a long way, they can survive. So it's all about creativity, and Sir Ken Robinson again said creativity is as important as literacy. And from there we get innovations. Creativity and leads to innovation. So, envisioning a future of learning, this is what I would like to suggest. Unpack our curriculum and let's look at now how do we now can embed thinking in every course that we teach, the curriculum. So this is what one subject called design thinking. I'm following this course now as a MOOC course, MOOC, on the platform called iVersity. So I hope to see you enroll as a student soon. The course is called design thinking. What is design thinking? Design thinking is basically it's a human-centered and collaborative approach to problem solving that is creative, iterative, and practical. And it's by John, actually definition by John Brown Seeley. You can find him on YouTube, John Brown Seeley. He talked about creativity and design. Very interesting. And I'll just skip a few and go to the next one. Create community of peers and fosters collaboration. So we know very well now, no man or no woman is an island. Some people say that. Meaning that we cannot just be alone or learn alone. Learning is social. You know, we need a community of peers, community of learners. So learning can happen very more effectively. There's a theory of social learning by someone called Bandura. You can Bandura. Nasib baiklah the professor education. Okay, social learning. So you can read more about that. But basically, the world of learning is increasingly collaborative, driving changes in the way students learn. So learning is no more in silos. So I have to speed up.
I think the future of learning is really to add a new dimension to learning, which is the dimension of collaboration.
Collaborative Classroom is a place where people can share ideas that they may not have felt comfortable sharing in class.
There's always some kids that are shy or they don't want to raise their hand in class, and when you're told to do it at home, you can actually see their opinions and you get to know them as a person better.
So we need to leverage the social media. So in USM we have one workshop for our staff, how to use social media, in teaching and learning. So I think we need to learn more. It's not only for social, it's more than that. So we need to learn how to use this tool properly.
By injecting methylene blue, it's easier to identify the structures. What do you see, Doctor?
Gallbladder, cystic duct, common bile duct.
Yes. Misidentification of the anatomy is the main cause of biliary tree injuries. Today we're trying this new technique of... Put those things away, people. No texting in my OR. Save that for the drive home.
Actually, we're not texting, sir. Dr. Bailey's performing a toupee procedure right now, and there wasn't enough room in her OR, so we're just following it on Twitter.
Twitter? What the hell is a Twitter?
So, social media literacy for the educators like us, of course, students as well. So I don't have much time. I just skip on this. On the collaborative learning, the other concept is actually peer teaching. Yeah, peer teaching, peer assisted learning, peer instruction. So I think we need to do more and more of this. Yeah, more and more of this. So the champion of this is actually Professor Eric Mazzo from Harvard University again. And Albert Einstein said, you do not really understand something unless you can explain it to your grandmother. This is why I always tell the students now, when you do your group study, take the role to teach your friend. Because you will find that, if you don't understand the topic or the concept, you won't be able to explain to your friend. The best way to learn is to teach. And to teach is to learn twice. Yeah? So what is the future of learning looks like? The future of learning means reimagining, rethinking relationship between student and teachers, student and content, student and learning environment, and teachers and instruction. So we have to look at the whole ecosystem again. So Don Tapscott, another futurist, he said, it's not what you know that counts anymore, it's what you can learn. Your skill, our students' skill to learn how to learn. So back to here, re-examining the structure of the curriculum, explore transformative pedagogy, explore innovative delivery. We have a new culture of learning will redefine pedagogy. Demand new skill, new paradigm, new dimension will require fundamental redesign of the learning process and the learning structure that enable it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is what we need to do when we talk about envisioning of learning. We have to go back to the drawing board, unpack the curriculum, dismantle it, And now, when we put it together, we have to look at our ecosystem again. Knowledge, skills, and values. So how do we now pack them back again together? Well, this picture, maybe you want to say that the glass is half full. This is one lesson that I learned from Dr. Rahana. Until now, I still remember, which means that we should always be optimistic, correct? But what I'm trying to say here, education is about shaping of mind, shaping of our individual students to become the future nation builders. So just like water, when you pour the water into the glass or into whatever container, it will take the shape of the container. So meaning that the glass, in this case, the metaphor for our curriculum, for the teachers, for the learning design that we use and so on, so that will determine the shape that we will produce in terms of the attributes of the graduates. So I think that is, only last night I put this slide to kind of put the metaphor in a way that is easy to understand. So this is my proposal again, envisioning the world, the future of learning. Unpack the curriculum, and now the lecture is still relevant, I think, but I would say, okay, 20 or 30%. And now 70% will really activities, project-based, problem-based, scenario-based, case study, and really get them to involve. And in the process of the 70%, when the students really doing the thing, remember, I see, I forget. Prof kata tadi. I hear, I remember. I do, I understand. So activity-based, problem-based is about doing. And in the process of doing, or before that, then yeah, we have to look at various learning model, teaching learning model, approaches, strategies. And by the way, these two books, I haven't read it, but hope to read. Designed for how people learn, creating significant learning experiences. So, another 5 minutes to go. I know the Prof Naza is watching me. I think we have to change our role. Look at ourselves not just a mere teacher, because teachers just teach. I think we have to go beyond that. I would like to see myself as more of a learning designer. And therefore, I think we need to put this instructional design, learning about being a good learning designer, so the ID people now become more and more important. Instructional design. So I want to see myself as a learning designer so that I can design the learning, because Larry Spence said we won't meet the needs for more and better higher education until professors, lecturers become designers of learning experiences and not just teachers. So we want to learn together with our students. We want to grow together with our students. I always tell my students, you are a learner, I am a master learner, because I have not only knowledge, but also wisdom. You can have knowledge because now the internet is there, but you don't have yet the same level of wisdom as I have. This wisdom will guide you. So that's the way I put it, co-create learning together. And this is my classroom now. I know my students are watching in the back, but this now, not then. Task is find the ingredients. That's the 70%. Yeah, project-based, activity-based, and so on. And they have fun, and they learn. how do they learn? I have a few more slides, but I don't have time to show. But basically, the idea is we want to empower. So today, again, I repeat, our theme is transforming teaching, empowering learning. So empower our students, let them construct the knowledge. So this is a constructivist approach. Prof. Azhar, please correct me if I'm wrong. Develop the skills to learn how to learn. It's about knowledge construction. Let them construct their own learning, their own meaning, rather than content consumption. Okay? So, finally, in order to do this 70-30 thing, I think now probably UKM staff especially now familiar with this flipped classroom. I am also a strong believer of this model. I think we need to do more. Yeah? So we need a classroom makeover. Yeah? Just like that program on Astro, apa nama dia, makeover something kan, it transform daripada yang very ordinary looking into wow, that X factor, what wow factor is there. So
flipped learning, I think, on a really basic level, is taking what has traditionally been given in a lecture in terms of direct instruction and shifting that out of the class time, and then using that recuperated time more wisely, more valuably to really meet the individual learning needs of students. The way I got started doing this is I just started recording my lessons live for my students who were missing class and posting those online for them as a resource.
I just skip that. So as a conclusion, the main points that I have elaborate and deliberate, the future is here, basically. So motivating students to learn. Teach nothing but thinking. Social and collaborative learning. Teacher as a learning designer. Unpack the curriculum and flip classroom.
We hope that what we're doing is going to create a far more diverse group of university students, because they will come to the university with just so much more self-directed knowledge, so much more passion and information about what they want to do. That's the future.
That's the future, ladies and gentlemen. I managed to make it by 2:15. So with that, thank you very much.
Terima kasih Prof. Karim, terlalu banyak yang telah kita pelajari, yang telah kita adaptasi dari Sifu ya. Memang nampak jelas betapa passionate-nya beliau terhadap education. Seorang pakar dalam food technology, bagaimana membawa food technology itu kepada real life untuk pelajar-pelajarnya love the knowledge. Ya, banyak yang kita pelajari tadi, dan apa yang boleh saya petik ialah Prof. Karim telah membawa kita kepada future work skill for the 2020. Ya, dan visual grafik beliau itu amat penting, dan beliau juga telah menunjukkan future job skills requirement yang kita rasakan amat penting bagaimana untuk kita mengadun, untuk kita shape semula pelajar kita. Dan saya tertarik kepada frasa yang telah beliau katakan tadi, challenge oneself and get away from the comfort zone. Jadi bersama-samalah kita menuju kepada cara yang baru, ya, dan cadangan beliau tadi, transformative learning, di mana beliau telah menerangkan mengenai new paradigm, ya, berkongsi dengan kita mengenai new mindset, unpack curriculum, explore transformation pedagogy, explore imagination and delivery method. Ya, jadi kita juga kena melihat semula academic ecosystem kita. Dan 21st century skill yang bukan hanya bercakap mengenai content, and 21st century skill more than just teaching. Dan impart knowledge, inculcate skills dan instill values. Saya rasa amat padat, amat bermakna, amat dalam apa yang telah beliau katakan tadi. Dan ini selari dengan apa yang beliau telah kongsi bersama kita tentang Malaysia Education Blueprint yang akan menghasilkan graduan holistik, entrepreneurial dan balanced graduate. Ya. Dan cadangan beliau mengenai transformation dan mengenai future of learning, apa yang beliau tekankan mengenai karakteristik of good learning, motivation Dan di sini beliau telah mengatakan bahawa motivation is the prerequisite for learning to learn, and engagement is prerequisite for learning. Dan itu juga pada saya amat bermakna, ya. Dan beliau telah mengatakan mengenai kreativiti, telah bercakap mengenai yang beliau tekankan tadi, unpack our curriculum. Dan saya juga seorang instructional designer, dan beliau telah mengatakan mengenai kita kena bertukar, instead of being the regular teacher kepada learning designer. We think back apa yang perlu kita adun, apa yang perlu ingredient yang perlu kita ambil, apa yang perlu kita adun, dan itulah hasil graduan yang kita bakal lihat. Ya, jadi banyak, ya, saya pun tak tertulis nota dan rasanya tidak puas. Saya dah banyak kali sebenarnya mendengar, dan beberapa slide itu banyak yang familiar, ya. Jadi kita mengucapkan terima kasih, jutaan penghargaan kepada Sifu, kepada salah seorang pemenang anugerah akademik negara. Ya, jadi untuk itu saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.